Hey guys, I'm Glitter Valkyrie, and today we're going to summon on a Hero Rises 2022. I'm super excited to see what will happen on an all-green banner. We've never had anything like this before, and I'm really hoping that the math is on our side. So we will talk about these characters as we go along, but let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the plan for today is going to be to snipe green because all of our focus are green, and I really want to maximize my chances of getting those focus. I will say that there are some characters in focus that I want way more than others, namely Azura and Corrin. I'm really hoping that I can get a couple copies of Corrin because I use my duo all the time. They are one of my favorite duos to use, and I feel like merges would be really helpful. And I also really do need one copy of Azura because I need her B and C skills for my OG La Rochelle. So if we can get a copy, that would be really nice. And if we get to the 40 and we don't get either of them, I think we'll probably have to take Azura because I really do need the skills, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. But as for the other two on the banner, I really wouldn't mind getting a copy of Male Byleth because the one that I have is minus attack, and I'd love to patch that Bane. And then we have Thor as the other one, and I'm going to be honest, I don't want to get her. I don't have any attachment to her as a character. But she is a character that I do not have, so I guess there's... Oh my goodness. Oh, she heard me talking about her. But you know what? She is new for me, so that is fine. And we get a blessing. Let's check IVs. And she is plus speed. I'm going to be honest, I know nothing about her stat line, but she is new. So I guess that is everybody that I was going to talk about on the banner, so we can probably answer our viewer questions now. And as always, if I did not get to yours, I'm so sorry. I will try to answer in a future one. And if you think of a question you want to ask, just leave it in the comments with #question, and I will add your question to my list. So our first question today comes from Anetta's Best Girl, and they ask, who did you support in the Hero Rises? So as for, oh my goodness, we got Ninja Corrin. I'm so excited to see them. That is amazing. All right, let's check IVs. And they are plus res, but you know what, that is going to be a merge, so I am so incredibly happy with that. So getting back to this lucky question from Anetta's Best Girl, as for like the first part where we were voting, I did vote for Legendary Claude every day, and he was so close, but he didn't make it in. And then when it came time for the voting gauntlet, I was Team Azura solely because I wanted to go up against Edelgard. I wanted that all-green banner, so I fought the good fight, and I'm really happy with the results that we got. So yes, that is what I did, but thank you for that very lucky question. And let's go ahead and answer our next one, and this comes from the Iggs. And they ask, who are your favorite characters from Shadows of Valentia, and who from that game do you want to see receive an alt this year? So I am super boring when it comes to that game, and I probably want like the most vanilla picks that you could choose. I love Alm and I love Celica, and I would love to see them get more alts. I think that they are both really good candidates for Ascended Heroes, so if we do get another SOV banner this year, I think that would be really neat to see. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer our next one, and this comes from Triton's Lullaby. And they ask, have you been using Sarah alongside Elamine in Astra Season at all? So this is probably pretty surprising, but I really do not bring my Sarah to AR. And that is because she is Fire Blessed, and it really doesn't help my score. And honestly, score doesn't really matter because I am super casual. But I really don't bring her for that. And maybe I should, and maybe I'd have an easier time. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to see Pent. He is a character that I absolutely love. All right, let's check IVs. And he is plus attack. That is absolutely amazing. So we will just keep going. And thank you so much, Triton's Lullaby. I think that was a very lucky question. So let's go ahead and answer our next one. And this comes from Nashon Edwards. And they ask, I know that you don't like Tharja, but what are your thoughts on Rajat? So yes, it is true that I do not care for Tharja, but I do have a positive opinion of Rajat. I will say that I don't have a lot of experience using her in Fates because I only played Birthright one time, and when I play Revelation, I didn't really use her too much, but overall I do have a positive opinion of her. But thank you for your great question. And we get a Bartray. All right, so let's go ahead and answer our next one, and this comes from Akatsuki Yoshi. And they ask, do you have Pokemon Legends Arceus? And if so, what do you think of the game? And what are your thoughts on quality of life features being restricted by FayPass subscriptions? Okay, so as for the Arceus questions, yes, I do have it, and I just recently beat the game. I actually had a really hard time getting into it initially. It was just a very slow start for me. But once I kind of got into a rhythm, I ended up really enjoying it. I think that there were some good and some bad things to the game. I think that it was really nice that they kind of had a departure from the formula in the series. I love that it was very different. And I also really enjoyed that it had that kind of addictive quality of catching Pokemon that I hadn't felt in a while. I was actually kind of at a point with Pokemon that I thought maybe I was kind of outgrowing it. But now I just kind of feel like maybe Sword and Shield wasn't the game for me. So, yeah, overall, I did enjoy it. I think that the graphics were kind of rough and I didn't really love the music. But overall, I think that it was a good change for the series. And I hope that they do more like that in the future. And as for your second question about quality of life changes with FayPass, I really don't love that it's locked behind FayPass. I think that it would be nice if they could do maybe some other things to incentivize FayPass users, like maybe 2 sparks instead of 1, or maybe like choosing to spark after the 40, like when you want to, like not being locked to that after 40 mark. But I really don't know if they'll do that in the future. But thank you, Akatsuki Yoshi, for all those great questions. And let's go ahead and answer another one. And this comes from Starflame34. And they ask, what do you think of Shenhua in Genshin as a character, and did you pull for her? So I did not pull for Shenhua. Initially, I was not interested in her as a character, but I will say that when I did her story, it definitely helped her a lot. It was a very interesting and heartbreaking story, and I think they did a very good job with her. I don't really see myself pulling for her if she gets a rerun, just because I have so many other characters that I want, but I did think that they did a good job with her. But in addition to this Genshin question, I did have another one from Starflame regarding Xenoblade, but I also had some Xenoblade questions from Tape. So these Xenoblade questions were if I had played the previous Xenoblade games, and if so, who my favorite characters were, and what my favorite areas in the games were. So, to start out, I have played Xenoblade X and 1 and 2, and I did start with Xenoblade X, and if you're going to start out with a series, I would not recommend starting with that game. It is a very good game, but I feel like it's a really hard game to get into initially, and I would recommend starting with 1, and it's absolutely amazing. But I will say that Xenoblade X does hold a special place in my heart, really just because of the place of life that I was in. I was kind of worried that I was at a point where I was maybe outgrowing video games, and I just hadn't felt that sense of wonder that I hadn't felt like since I was a kid in a really, really long time. But then I played Xenoblade X, and once I got into it and I started exploring, I was just blown away by the exploration, and I was just filled with wonder, and it just made me really happy that I could feel that in a video game again. So that's why it's special to me. But then, as for the next question about the characters that I really enjoy in the games, there's so many. But the ones that I love the most would be Morag and Rex and Pyra and Dunban. I will say that Melia really grew on me in subsequent playthroughs. And there aren't too many characters that I enjoyed in X. I will say the story in that game is really not great, but I actually really enjoyed Lao. Yeah, I think those are the ones that I like the most. And then as for the last question about my favorite areas, I think that one strength in all the Xenoblade games are all the locations. They're just so beautifully designed. But as for Xenoblade X, I think my favorites were Noctilum and Sylvalum as well. Oh my goodness, that is Helbindi. You know what, I really like Helbindi, so I'm really happy to see him. And he can't break the pity, so that is even better. Okay, let's check IVs. And he is plus res. I will take that. So we'll back out and we will keep going with this lucky question. My favorite areas in Xenoblade, Noctilum and Sylvalum, I think were my favorites in X. And then as for Xenoblade 1, I think my favorite area, like in all of Xenoblade actually, was the Fallen Arm. I think it was just so incredibly creative and beautiful and well done, and I just loved everything about it. And then as for Xenoblade 2, I think that pretty much all of the areas are really, really good with the exception of Temperantia. I thought that area was gross. But I think that my favorite from that game was probably Uriah, but there were so many beautiful locations there too. So I think that that covers all of those questions. But again, thank you Starflame and Tape for that very lucky question. And let's go ahead and answer another one. Oh my goodness, another Thor. That was a super, super lucky question. Okay, let's go ahead and check this one. And she is also plus speed. We'll take that. I know that she does have some good fodder. I don't know who I would give it to, but I know that it is very good. But let's go ahead and answer another one. And this next question comes from Sen. And they ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like or dislike Berkut's storyline? So overall, I do have a favorable opinion of Berkut, so I think that I would give him a 6 out of 10. And it would be higher if not for what happened with Renea. And I'm not going to spoil anything if you haven't played, but it's just really messed up and I really didn't like it. But I will say that he has a lot of things going for him. I think that he's not a one-note villain. He is nuanced and he is complex and in some ways sympathetic. And overall, I did really enjoy that about him. So while the thing with Renea I really did not like, overall, I would say 6 out of 10. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and answer our next one. And this comes from Grace McGogahan. And I know I said your name wrong, so I am so, so sorry. They asked what my favorite Fire Emblem Path of Radiance character is. That is a super easy one. I would have to say Alencia. I'm really hoping that she'll get a legendary form at some point because I feel like she deserves it. She is best girl. But that would be my answer. But thank you for that great question. And our next question today comes from Fallen Red Kid. And they ask, what are your thoughts on the upcoming Pokemon game, its setting and starters, or are you uninterested in it? So I will say that I do have a lot of hope for the new Pokemon game, and that is because Sprigatito is so incredibly adorable. I love that Pokemon as soon as I saw it. It's just so incredibly cute. So that will definitely be my starter, but I think all of them are very well done. And really, after the experience that I had with Arceus, I do have a lot of hope that this is going to be better than Sword and Shield. So yes, I am excited to play it when it comes out. But thank you for that great question. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this next green and we will answer another one. And this next question comes from Achille P. And they ask, have you played an instrument? And if you haven't, which one would you like to be able to play perfectly? So I do play piano, definitely not perfectly. Basically, all I can do at this point is some video game music covers. But if I had to pick an instrument, I think that's the one that I would pick because I really enjoy playing it. It really relaxes me. And if I could play it perfectly, it would be so nice. So yes, piano would be my answer. But thank you for that great question. Okay, so we have one poll left. Hopefully we can get an Azura or Corrin. And we have to pull both of these. They're right in front of us. We have to do it. And we get a 3-star Raisin. All right, I know we're past 40, but we are doing this next one. Okay, poor choice. It's a 3-star. We get a Bowie. All right, so we'll go ahead and back out, and we can go ahead and spark. And I think we have to take that Azura because my Larshell needs the skills, and she is always worth it. Yay! Oh gosh, my Larshell is going to be so incredibly happy. And we get the thing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and end things here. You know, overall, I am happy with how this went because I did get Azura and Corrin, and we did get some other good stuff too. I do want to wish you all the best of luck if you are pulling on this banner. I know so many of you were saving for so long, and I hope that you got all those things that you were looking for. So as always, thanks so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.